I always thought the scariest thing a doorbell camera could show was a raccoon stealing cat food or some kid trying to ding-dong ditch the neighborhood. But that night, at 9:42 p.m., mine showed me something that still makes my hand shake every time I get a notification. It started with a soft buzz from my phone, just a motion alert. I barely glanced at it because I was rinsing dishes, half listening to a podcast, trying to ignore the loneliness of another night waiting for my husband, Ethan, to come home from working late. But something, call it instinct, call it God, call it the weight of doubt, made me swipe open the video. The second the footage loaded, my body went still. A low bass pulse started ringing in my ears, like my heartbeat was sinking to something dark, off, wrong. There was Ethan, standing on our front porch, at night, when he texted me 10 minutes earlier that he was still at the office. He wasn't alone. A woman still with him, her back to the camera, her hair falling forward in loose waves, streetlight behind them, shadows stretching across the porch like long, black fingers. I leaned closer to my phone. My throat tightened. He said something I couldn't hear. The woman laughed, soft, breathy. Then he reached for her waist and kissed her. My stomach flipped so violently I had to grab the edge of the counter. I froze, staring at the pixelated scene while the pasta on the stove quietly hissed in the background. They kissed again. Longer. Deeper. And the worst part? He kissed her the same way he used to kiss me. I whispered, "No, no," even though I knew exactly what I was seeing. I zoomed in. The image sharpened. Her profile shifted just enough for her face to catch the porch light. For a split second, I felt my heart stop completely. Because she didn't look like a mistress. She didn't look like a coworker. She didn't look like any stranger I'd ever seen. She looked like my sister. My chest tightened so painfully I had to suck air through my teeth. I whispered, "No. Absolutely not. I'm imagining it. My brain is filling in gaps. That can't be her. It can't." But then I noticed something else. Her hoodie. Gray. Oversized. The little tear on the right sleeve. The same tear I saw when I helped my sister move into her new apartment 2 weeks ago. My hands began to shake so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Before I could rewind the footage, the screen glitched. A weird static flash, a loud click from the living room, like the camera turned itself off. Then the video clip disappeared. Gone. Not saved, not archived, not retrievable. Just erased. I whispered, "What the hell?" and tapped my screen again and again. Nothing. That's when I heard it. A slow, soft sound coming from the hallway behind me. Creak. I whipped around. Nothing. Or at least no one visible. But I swear on my life that the temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. A cold draft brushed my arm like someone had walked by me. My voice shook as I whispered, "Hello?" Silence. Then, creak. Another step. Closer. My heart hammered against my ribs. I grabbed a knife from the drawer, gripping it so tightly my knuckles whitened. I wasn't imagining that sound. Someone was in the house. I backed into the kitchen corner and grabbed my phone to call Ethan. The call rang twice, then went straight to voicemail. My hands trembled as I whispered into the phone speaker, "Ethan, I saw the doorbell footage. I know you're lying. I know you're with someone. And I think it's my sister." I swallowed hard. A noise cut me off. A thud. Upstairs. Heavy. Deliberate. Not a mouse, not plumbing, not the house settling. Someone was up there. I held my breath, listening. Thud. Then the faintest exhale, like someone was trying not to breathe too loudly. My stomach twisted. I felt sick. My vision blurred. I needed Ethan home now. I texted him, "Come home now." No reply. I took one step toward the staircase, knife raised. Then thump. Something, or someone, moved faster this time. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over the rug. Then the sound stopped entirely. Silence. A thick, unnatural silence, like the whole house was holding its breath. I edged toward the staircase and flipped the hallway light switch. Nothing. The lights didn't turn on. I whispered, "Okay, okay, no. This wasn't happening. Not tonight. Not like this." Then my phone buzzed. A new message from Ethan. But it wasn't a text. It was a doorbell camera notification. My hand shook as I opened it. The live feed loaded slowly, pixels warping before sharpening, and there was someone standing at the door. Not Ethan. A shadowy figure. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark hoodie. Head tilted straight toward the camera like they knew I was watching. I couldn't see their face. Just darkness. A void. Then the figure lifted something, a small object, toward the lens. My breath left my body when I realized what it was. A phone. My sister's phone. Her pop socket, her floral case, her cracked corner. The figure held it right up to the camera and slowly dragged a gloved hand across the screen, smearing something dark. For a moment, I thought it was dirt. But then I realized, no, it was too thick, too red. Blood. I staggered backward, hitting the wall so hard it rattled the picture frames. Then, knock, a loud, sharp knock on the door. I screamed. The figure didn't move. Just stood there. Waiting. My phone buzzed again. Another notification. Your doorbell camera detected a familiar face. Familiar face? What familiar face? The AI recognition box popped up. My stomach dropped so violently I thought I might faint. Because the name detected didn't say unknown. It didn't say stranger. It didn't say neighbor. It said, Lily, your sister. Except I knew that whatever was standing outside my door was not. I dropped to the floor, pressing my back against the wall as my phone trembled in my hand. My eyes didn't leave the doorbell feed. That shadowy figure, tall, gloved, and eerily still, wasn't moving, but I felt its presence press against me like gravity. The streetlight cast long, distorted shadows, making the porch look like some twisted stage set. A deep bass pulse throbbed in my chest. My own heartbeat seemed to echo through the house, hammering against every wall. I whispered to myself, "It's not real. This can't be real." Then the figure moved. Just a single step toward the door, the crunch of gravel loud enough to make me jump. I pressed the phone against my ear, dialing Ethan again. The line rang once, twice, then voicemail. I swallowed, panic rising in my throat. "Ethan, please," my whisper broke. The figure tilted its head, and then it spoke. "Don't be scared, yet." I froze. The voice, soft, controlled, sent chills down my spine. Not my sister, not Ethan, something else entirely. "Who are you?" I croaked. A pause, then, "Someone who knows everything." My stomach churned. The shadows shifted, almost like the figure was playing with me, teasing me with what I could and couldn't see. Then suddenly the figure lifted its hood, and I glimpsed my sister's face. No, not my sister. Something wrong. Her eyes were darker, cold. Her smile wrong, too sharp, not familiar, not Lily. I dropped my phone. It hit the floor with a loud crack. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, echoed from behind me. I spun around, knife raised, but the hallway was empty. Then a whisper from the staircase. "You shouldn't be here." I ran to the stairs, gripping the railing. Every step creaked under my weight. The sound seemed to echo, louder than normal, like the house itself was alive. Halfway up, I froze. My phone buzzed again. Another doorbell notification. I hesitated, then opened it. The live feed had changed. The figure was gone. The porch empty. I exhaled in relief, but it didn't last. A text appeared from Ethan. "Mess, I can't explain now. Don't open the door." I yanked the door open anyway. Nothing. Empty porch. Cold night air brushing against my skin. I stepped outside cautiously. Gravel crunched under my shoes. The street was silent. Too silent. Then a sound from the bushes. A rustling. Creak. I turned slowly. A gloved hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. I screamed. The figure dragged me back toward the house, pressing something hard against my temple. "Shh," a familiar voice whispered. It was Ethan. Relief and confusion slammed into me at once. What is happening? Who is this?" I stammered. He didn't answer, just pushed me inside and locked the door behind us. The sound of footsteps, multiple footsteps, echoed from outside, heavy, deliberate. Someone was circling the house. Ethan finally spoke, his voice tight. "I tried to stop this. I really did. But they know about the video and they're coming for you." "Who? Who's coming?" I asked, panic clawing at my throat. Ethan's face went pale. "You don't understand. The person you saw, your sister, she's not your sister. That was a copy, a doppelganger. Someone made her look exactly like Lily to get to you." I blinked. "What? What are you saying? That wasn't her. Then who?" He swallowed. "I don't know, but she's not human. Not completely. And if she got the video, we're both in danger." I stumbled back. My heart raced so fast I thought I might collapse. Then another twist hit me like a punch. My phone buzzed again. Doorbell footage. Another alert. I grabbed it. And there she was. My sister. Or at least what looked exactly like her. Sitting inside our living room, smiling at me. No gloves, no shadows. Just sitting, like she had never left. I screamed. "Mess! Don't touch your phone!" Ethan yelled. Too late, I swiped to zoom. The screen warped. Her smile, distorted. Her eyes, glowing faintly red. And the last notification before the feed cut off read, "She's already inside." I spun toward the living room. Empty, silent, no one. Then from the staircase, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, approaching. And a voice, my sister's exact voice, whispered, "Why are you so surprised? You should have known I was coming." I felt my blood freeze. I realized then, this wasn't just about cheating. This wasn't about betrayal. This was something I could not control. And I wasn't ready for what was coming next. The figure, my sister or something that looked like her, was in the house. I was alone with Ethan, and I had no idea which was real or how to survive the night. The house felt wrong. Every shadow seemed to stretch and twist as I clutched my phone like a lifeline. Ethan was in front of me, tense, muscles coiled. The air smelled sharp, metallic, like electricity before a storm. Then I heard it. A slow, dragging footstep from the kitchen. I whipped my head in that direction. Empty. Nothing moved, but my stomach flipped. Whoever or whatever was inside, they were close. Too close. "Stay behind me," Ethan whispered. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed panic. I nodded, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter. The floorboards creaked with each step he took. I felt exposed, vulnerable, every nerve on fire. Then something small moved at the corner of my eye, a shadow slipping past the hallway mirror. I turned toward it. Nothing. I swallowed. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Low, familiar, but wrong. It was my sister's laugh. Light, melodic, but twisted, like a recording played backwards. Ethan froze beside me. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. I nodded, too terrified to speak. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A bass-thumping pulse rattled the walls. My phone buzzed again. Another doorbell notification. I hesitated, trembling, before opening it. And I saw her, my sister, sitting on the porch swing, smiling at the camera. Calm, innocent, but her eyes, dark, hollow. The notification read, "Do you see now?" I gasped. What is happening?" I whispered. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I don't know, but it's not real. Not entirely. That thing, it's mimicking her." A sudden crash of stairs made both of us jump. Something heavy hit the floor. Then muffled breathing. Slow, deliberate, unnervingly close. We exchanged a look. Fear mirrored in both our eyes. I whispered, "We need to get out, now." Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. We need to know what it wants first. Otherwise, it'll follow us." Another phone buzz. Another doorbell notification. I opened it. The camera feed showed the living room, empty, except now, written on the wall, in what looked like red paint. "You shouldn't have seen me." I gagged. Ethan grabbed me, pulling me toward the kitchen. He yanked open a cabinet under the sink. It was dark, cramped, but safe for now. We huddled inside. The floorboards creaked outside as the thing moved closer. I could hear it whispering my sister's name over and over, low and hypnotic. "Moss, Moss, Moss." Then silence. Too long. Then, from the vent above us, a soft, wet, guttural laugh. Ethan froze. I froze. I couldn't breathe. Then another door creak, slow, deliberate, from the back of the house. And then the ultimate twist. I heard a voice, my real sister's voice, shouting, "Mas! Don't open your eyes! Run! She's not who you think!" I realized then there was more than one of them, and one of them was already inside the house. Huddled under the sink, I could barely breathe. The smell of cleaning chemicals mixed with my own panic. Ethan gripped my arm, his knuckles white, but his eyes, dark, wide, were scanning every inch of the kitchen. A soft scrape sounded from the living room, just enough to make me flinch. Ethan whispered, "It's learning us, every move, every sound." I shivered. What does it want? He didn't answer. Instead, he pressed his hand against my mouth as another sound echoed. A thump from upstairs, followed by a low, guttural whisper that chilled my bones. "Mass," the voice hissed, distorted, almost a growl. "Mass." I swallowed hard, tears stinging my eyes. That wasn't my sister. Not her voice, not her tone. Another twist hit like a punch. The vent above us rattled. Something heavy pressed against it. A shadow flickered across the ceiling. I could hear scraping nails, fast, deliberate, almost playful. I wanted to scream. I needed to scream, but Ethan's grip was iron. Not yet. "It'll find us if you make a sound." The phone buzzed again, another doorbell notification. I grabbed it with trembling hands, knowing I shouldn't, but unable to resist. The feed loaded. The impostor, my sister's doppelganger, was standing in the kitchen, watching, waiting, smiling like she had all the time in the world. And then the impossible happened. She blinked in perfect synchronization with me. A scream escaped my lips. It wasn't just mimicking my sister. It was mimicking me. Ethan pulled me behind him again. It's learning us faster than we thought. I shivered, trying to steady my shaking hands. And then another sound, a door creak from the attic hatch. I froze. Ethan whispered, "It's coming from above. I think it's trying to split us up." Another twist slammed into me. I remembered the text from my real sister. "Don't open your eyes. Run. She's not who you think." If the real Lily was outside our sight, then the imposter was inside. I swallowed, choking back tears. How do we fight something that can look like her? Ethan's jaw tightened. We don't. Not directly. We survive, we wait, and we trap it. Suddenly, a soft thud came from the cabinet door beside us, where we were hiding. The wood rattled. A shadow stretched across the kitchen floor. Ethan whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't breathe." The cabinet door shook again. My grip on the knife tightened. And then the thing spoke. It was my turn to play. The words were my sister's voice, familiar, mocking, but slower, distorted, cruel. I felt bile rise in my throat. This wasn't a person. Not really. It was something else, using the familiar to hurt me. Then, a twist that made my blood run cold. A second shadow appeared, moving faster than humanly possible, from the living room. It circled behind Ethan, stopping just out of reach. I realized then there wasn't just one. There were two. And one of them had already seen me. I pressed my eyes shut, trying to steady my breathing, but it didn't help. I could hear it. Soft, deliberate footsteps circling, whispering my name, playing with the fear inside me like a cat with a mouse. Another door creaked from the hallway. Then the softest breathing just behind us. Ethan froze. My knife felt useless in my trembling hands. Another doorbell notification buzzed my phone. I glanced at it. The feed this time showed Ethan and me from a completely different angle, from inside our own kitchen. I froze. How is this possible? Ethan's eyes widened. It's not just copying appearances anymore. It's copying our movements, recording our movements, anticipating them. I swallowed hard, panic rising again. Then what do we do? He shook his head. We have to wait. We can't fight it. Not yet. Another twist hit me.
I realized something horrifying. The impostor wasn't just copying my sister, it was learning me, my reactions, my fear, my habits, everything. And every time it learned, it adapted. The cabinet door rattled violently. I gasped. Ethan grabbed my hand. "Maz, hide your face, don't move, not a sound." The footsteps stopped. Silence. Too long. Then the voice came again, whispering directly in my ear, though no one was there. "Why are you hiding, Maz?" I screamed. And then, the ultimate cliffhanger. From upstairs, a loud crash, something heavy falling, followed by a soft, distorted giggle. Ethan's face was pale. "It's coming down. We won't last long if it finds us here." I clutched his arm, my heart pounding in my ears, the bass pulse of fear vibrating through the house. Then, another phone buzzed. Doorbell camera. Live feed. The impostor was now smiling through the window, staring at us. And in the reflection behind her, I could see 2 more shadows moving inside the house. I realized then, we weren't trapped by one. We were trapped by 3. 3 doppelgangers, one real sister somewhere outside, Ethan and I hiding, terrified, trapped under the sink. Every second the impostor learned us more, and whatever was in the house, it was already playing a game we didn't know the rules to.
We stayed under the sink, frozen in silence. My hands shook so violently I could barely hold the knife I had discarded earlier. Ethan's grip on my arm was like iron, and yet I could feel his tension. Every muscle in his body was coiled like a spring, ready to react, but he had no plan. Neither did I. A low rumble vibrated through the floorboards. Not thunder, not plumbing. Something inside the house. Slow, heavy, purposeful. The cabinet shook slightly, rattling the cleaning supplies. My breath caught. Then another twist. A soft whisper, impossibly close, as though someone was directly behind my ear. "Mass, look at me." I froze. My eyes squeezed shut. I could feel it. The thing was watching me, learning me, enjoying my terror. Ethan whispered, "Don't move. Don't even breathe too loud." A floorboard creak, the softest of steps, echoed through the kitchen. I held my breath as my stomach turned to ice. The footsteps paused just outside the cabinet. Then a second twist, a faint scratching sound on the wall behind us. Something dragging. Something deliberate. My phone buzzed again. Doorbell notification. I dared a glance. The feed showed the living room. Empty. Silent. Peaceful. Almost too peaceful. And then a shadow flickered across the floor. Not in real life. Only on the camera. Ethan whispered, "It's manipulating the feed. It's taunting us." I swallowed, panic rising in waves. Why? Why is it doing this? What does it want? Another twist. The cabinet door shook violently, rattling the pipes behind it. Then a voice, low and mocking. "You're hiding, but hiding won't save you." My blood ran cold. I recognized the cadence, my sister's voice, but distorted, evil. Ethan grabbed me, pulling me closer. "It's not her. It's not Lily. Not really. It's using her, using you to toy with us." I clutched him tightly, heart hammering in my chest. Another sound cue, soft, wet footsteps on the kitchen floor. Not human, not like anything I had heard before. Something heavy dragging itself. Close. Deliberate. Then another twist. I realized it wasn't just following us. It knew our hiding spot. The cabinet door swung open slightly, just a crack, enough to see darkness pressing in. I wanted to scream, to run, to throw something at it, but Ethan's hand clamped over my mouth. Then a flash of movement, a hand, gloved, pale, familiar, slid across the opening. Ethan whispered, "Don't move." Another twist hit like a punch. I could feel it. It wasn't just outside, not just watching. It was inside us. The air felt heavy, like it had entered the cabinet with us, pressing against our lungs, slowing our hearts. My phone buzzed again. Another doorbell feed. I couldn't resist. I opened it. The living room. Empty. Silent. Peaceful. Almost too peaceful. And then a shadow flickered across the floor. Not in real life, only on the camera. Ethan whispered, "It's manipulating the feed. It's taunting us." I swallowed, panic rising in waves. Why? Why is it doing this? What does it want? Another twist. The kitchen lights flickered. One bulb went out completely. Darkness filled half the room. The impostor stepped from the shadows, and now I could see it clearly. Not quite human. Its face, slightly stretched, mouth too wide, eyes too large. My sister's features, but wrong. Horrifyingly wrong. Ethan whispered, trembling. "It's adapting, learning faster than we can react." Then another twist. The real horror. My sister's voice again, from the vent above. "Mass, under the sink, don't look." I swallowed hard. The impostor had split our attention. I didn't know where the real Lily was. I didn't know where the fake one was. I didn't know if Ethan was real anymore. And then, the ultimate cliffhanger. From the shadows behind the cabinet, a hand reached out. Pale, gloved, impossibly fast. It grabbed Ethan. I screamed. And the last thing I saw before the cabinet swung open fully was my sister's face, or something pretending to be her, smiling at me. Ethan was grabbed. I was alone. The impostor had made its move. And the real sister's warning echoed in my head. Don't open your eyes.
I screamed as Ethan was yanked backward, his body disappearing into the shadows behind the cabinet. The air was thick, heavy, almost wet, and my hands shook violently as I tried to move. I couldn't. My legs felt frozen, rooted to the floor. A soft scrape echoed across the hardwood. Slow, deliberate. Each movement a calculated threat. I swallowed hard. My eyes darted to the kitchen doorway. Empty. For now. Then, a whisper. "Mass." It was my sister's voice. Sweet, innocent, familiar, yet wrong. Twisted. Another twist slammed into me. My stomach dropped as I realized the voice wasn't coming from the living room. It was behind me, inside the cabinet, where Ethan had just been taken. I scrambled back, bumping into the counter. My hands hit a jar of utensils which clattered to the floor, metal against tile, sounding like a gunshot in the tense silence. A soft scrape echoed across the hardwood. Slow, deliberate. Each movement a calculated threat. I swallowed hard. My eyes darted to the kitchen doorway. Empty. For now. Then, a whisper. "Mass?" It was my sister's voice. Sweet, innocent, familiar, yet wrong. Twisted. Another twist slammed into me. My stomach dropped as I realized the voice wasn't coming from the living room. It was behind me, inside the cabinet where Ethan had just been taken. I scrambled back, bumping into the counter. My hands hit a jar of utensils which clattered to the floor, metal against tile, sounding like a gunshot in the tense silence. A soft shadow flickered across the ceiling, distorted by the half-working lights. I froze, bass-thumping pulse in my chest. My heart was a drum, my breathing ragged. Then, from the vent above, a soft giggle. My sister's laugh, but distorted, layered with something dark, alien. I whispered, trembling, "Lily, is that you?" No answer. Then, a second twist, something I didn't expect. The cabinet door swung open slowly. My stomach dropped. Nothing was there. But when I glanced at the living room, the impostor, my sister, or what it had become, was standing there, calm, smiling, watching me.
And then it moved faster than anything humanly possible, crossing the room in a blur. I stumbled backward, hitting the counter. My hands hit a jar of utensils, which clattered to the floor, metal against tiles, sounding like a gunshot in the tense silence. A soft whisper from the attic hatch made me jump. "Mass! Don't look!" My stomach twisted. The voice, the real Lily, somewhere above us, trying to warn me. Another twist. I realized the imposter wasn't alone anymore. 2 more shadows moved behind it, almost silent, watching, waiting. I could hear soft dragging sounds, like claws scraping the floor. The imposter suddenly turned toward me, smiling, and whispered my name. "Mass, I see you." I froze, my heart racing, every instinct screaming to run, but where? The house had become a trap. Every door, every hallway, every shadow could hide one of them. Then, a twist that made my blood cold. The doorbell camera buzzed. Another notification. I hesitated, but opened it. The feed showed Ethan, pinned against the wall, screaming silently. The imposter standing behind him, mimicking my movements exactly. Every twitch, every blink, every shiver. I swallowed hard. It's copying him too? Ethan's whisper reached me. It adapts, Mass. Every second it learns. Don't let it touch you. Another sound cue. Footsteps descending the staircase. Slow, heavy, multiple sources. I glanced toward the stairs. Shadows stretched across the walls. Too many to count. Then another twist. I realized the imposter outside the cabinet wasn't alone. My sister's face flickered in the shadows behind it. Not real, just another copy. And the worst part? It smiled. The imposter took a step closer. The shadows behind it shifted. One lunged toward me. I screamed, lunging backward, knife in hand. Then another twist. A voice from upstairs. My sister's voice, clear and urgent. "Mass! The front door! Run! Don't trust the shadows!" I hesitated. Every instinct screamed danger. The imposter would see me if I moved. But the voice, it was my only chance. I glanced at Ethan. He was pinned, struggling, eyes wide of terror. I swallowed hard. Another twist. The imposter spoke, mimicking Ethan's voice. "Mass, don't leave me!" I froze. My mind reeled. Which one was real? Which one was fake? Then, the ultimate cliffhanger. The imposter raised its hand, and Ethan disappeared, pulled into the shadows, vanished. I was alone, and the imposter was smiling at me, perfectly calm, perfectly human, except for the eyes.
I stumbled backward, knife raised, heart hammering like a drum. The kitchen was quiet, too quiet, but I knew better. The imposter was still there, its presence pressing against me like a living weight. Another twist hit. I realized the shadows weren't stationary. They were shifting, slithering across the walls, stretching unnaturally. Something inhuman about the way they moved, like smoke with intent. I swallowed hard. My hands trembled. "Ethan!" I shouted, but only my own voice answered, echoing in the empty room. Then, a soft, wet, dragging sound came from the living room. Slow, deliberate. Each movement a taunt. I backed against the counter, knife shaking in my grip. A whisper followed. "Mass? Come closer." It was my sister's voice. Perfect imitation. Soft, sweet, innocent. Yet wrong. Distorted. Another twist. I glanced at my phone. Another doorbell feed. The imposter was standing near the front door now, but behind it, on the porch, I could see my real sister's face, illuminated by the streetlight. She was screaming, banging on the window, trying to get my attention. I gasped. Relief and panic collided.
But before I could react, the imposter mimicked my sister's gestures, pointing at me with that same cold smile. I froze. My instinct screamed, "Don't trust what you see." Then a second twist. The shadows behind the imposter split, multiplying. There were now more than I could count, stretching toward me like fingers across the floor. I stumbled, knocking over a chair. It clattered across the tile. Bass pulse in my chest, my ears rang. The imposter tilted its head. "You can't run, Mass. You never could." I backed into the corner. My guys darted around the kitchen, searching for an escape. Another twist. The vent above us rattled violently. A hand, small, human, slid from the vent. My sister's hand. She whispered urgently, "Mass, go. Don't hesitate." I swallowed hard, my heart pounding, fear squeezing every part of me. Then, the ultimate shock. From behind me, the imposter's voice, my sister's voice, mocked me again. "Do you really think you can escape me?" I spun, knife raised, and saw something I wasn't prepared for. Ethan. Pinned to the wall, his body twisted unnaturally, eyes wide with terror, but his lips moved. He wasn't speaking. The imposter's voice came from his mouth. "Mass, come to me." I froze. My stomach dropped. Ethan wasn't in control. Not anymore. Another twist. The imposter stepped closer, its face shifted slightly, merging my sister's features with Ethan's. It was learning faster than I could react. I screamed, lunging forward, knife aimed. Another sound cue. Footsteps from upstairs. Heavy, quick, too many to count. Something else had entered the house. The imposter raised a hand. Ethan's body followed, frozen in place. Then a whisper from above, unmistakable. "Mass, behind you. Don't let it touch you." I spun just in time to see a shadowy figure leap from the staircase. My real sister, not the imposter. We collided. Knife clattered to the floor. I grabbed her arm. Another twist hit. As we struggled to stand, the imposter's shadow stretched across the floor, splitting into multiple forms. One lunging toward me, one toward Lily, one reaching for Ethan. I screamed, heart pounding, lungs burning. Another twist. The imposter spoke simultaneously from all three forms. My sister's voice, Ethan's voice, my own voice. A chorus of terror. "Mass, come closer." I shook my head violently. "No, never." The imposter lunged at me. And then, silence. A soft click. The lights flickered. I looked up. The imposter had paused, its head tilted as if listening. Then another twist. From the front window, I saw someone, or something outside, watching, smiling. My sister? Or another imposter? I couldn't tell. The tension was unbearable. Every second stretched into an eternity. Another twist. The imposter raised a hand toward the ceiling, and suddenly all the shadows in the house converged into a single, towering figure. Its face was a perfect combination of Ethan and my sister and me. I froze. My mind spun, my heart hammered. Then a whisper. "You can't hide anymore, Mass. It's time to choose." The imposter had combined its shadows into one monstrous figure, merging Ethan, my sister, and me into a terrifying reflection. I was trapped. My real sister was at my side, but for how long? And what did it mean by choose? I could barely move. The monstrosity in front of me, my sister's face, Ethan's eyes, my own features, loomed over us, shadows writhing like black smoke around its form. My heart pounded so violently I thought it would explode. My sister grabbed my arm. "Mass, don't freeze. We have to act." Another twist. I realized Ethan's voice was still trapped inside the imposter. When it spoke, it wasn't him. It was using him, twisting his words to manipulate me. "Mass, come closer," it hissed in his voice, soft, familiar, terrifying. I shook my head violently. "No!" The shadows writhed. The imposter's smile widened, impossibly large.
Then a sound cue, the soft creaking of the attic hatch. Something was moving above us. Something else. I swallowed hard. There's more than one? My sister's eyes widened. Yes, it's multiplied, and it's learning faster than we can react. Another twist. I noticed the shadows stretching toward the front door, where my real sister had screamed before. They weren't just attacking us. They were trying to escape, trying to get out. I realized then it wanted more than us. It wanted everything. The imposter's voice, now a chorus of my sister, Ethan, and my own voice, whispered, "Mass, it's time to choose. Which will survive?" I froze. My mind raced. Choose what? Choose who? Then another twist. Ethan, trapped in the imposter's body, raised his hand toward me, but his movements weren't his own. They were controlled. My sister shouted, "Maz, you have to decide. Don't let it use you." I glanced at the shadows. They were closing in, faster now, too fast. Another twist. A flicker from the kitchen doorway revealed a second imposter form. Another version of my sister, identical, but smaller, more agile, already moving toward the vent. I realized with horror, it wasn't just one. There were multiple versions now, multiplying, learning, adapting. I swallowed, knuckles white. What do I do? My sister grabbed my hand. You have to confuse it. Make it hesitate. That's all we have. The imposter lunged, shadows writhing like snakes, merging and splitting in impossible ways. I swung the knife blindly, praying, and it passed through nothing. Another twist. It wasn't affected by physical attacks. It was pure shadow, pure mimicry. I backed up against the counter. My sister whispered, "Maz, focus on me, not it. Don't look at the others, only me." I nodded, tears streaming, my breathing ragged. Another twist. The imposter's voice shifted, sounding almost curious, testing me, waiting. "Why are you afraid? You love them, don't you?" it hissed. "Yes, I love them all, but I won't let you take them." The shadows recoiled slightly. The imposter paused. Then another sound cue. Footsteps on the front porch. Real, human. My sister shouted again, "Mez, now, the door!" I bolted toward the front door, my sister right behind me. Shadows lunged, but they hesitated. A split-second hesitation. Another twist. As we reached the door, one of the shadow forms, Ethan's face, stepped in front of me. I froze. "Maz, it's me," it whispered, perfectly mimicking his voice. I hesitated. Just a second. Too long. The shadow recoiled, confused. My sister shouted, "Maz, don't listen. Only look at me." I threw myself past the shadow and yanked the door open. Cold night air rushed in, carrying the smell of rain. Another twist. The house wasn't empty. From the shadows of the living room, one final form lingered, its eyes glowing faintly red, staring at me, whispering my name. I slammed the door, locked it, and grabbed my sister's hand. We ran to the street, gasping for air. And then, the final twist of this part, my phone buzzed. Doorbell notification. I opened it. The feed showed the kitchen. Empty, silent, peaceful. Until a shadow moved across the floor, one hand reaching toward the camera. And then the message. "This isn't over, Mass." We escaped the house, but the imposter wasn't gone. It had retreated, but it was learning, watching, waiting. And I knew no one in my family was truly safe until I confronted it fully.
We stumbled into the street, rain pelting our faces. My heart was still hammering, every nerve screaming, but my mind raced faster. The imposter hadn't followed us. Yet. That was the worst part. It had waited, calculated, learned. My sister grabbed my arm. "Mus, we can't go back. Not like this. It knows you. It knows everything." I shivered. Then where do we go? How do we stop it? A twist slammed into me, a faint reflection in a puddle across the street. My own face, but twisted, smiling, wrong, red eyes. I screamed, "It's still with us!" My sister shook her head. Not with us, watching, learning, waiting. We ran toward my car, the wet asphalt reflecting the streetlights in jagged shards. Every puddle, every shadow seemed to move independently, like the night itself was alive. Another twist, the phone buzzed. Doorbell notification. I hesitated, trembling, but I opened it. The feed showed our house, the kitchen, empty, silent, peaceful. Then, slowly, one shadow appeared. My sister's face, Ethan's eyes, my own features combined. It smiled, wide, malicious, and a message appeared. "You cannot hide forever." I felt bile rise. We reached the car, sliding inside, shaking. I started the engine. Headlights cut through the rain. But then, another twist. Movement in the rearview mirror. A shadow, tall, human-shaped, running behind the car, keeping pace, perfectly synchronized, not slowed by rain, not hindered by asphalt. I slammed my foot on the gas. My sister held on, screaming, wet hair plastered to her face. Then another twist. The figure stopped. Not running, just hovering, as if it had multiplied. Suddenly, there were 3 now, circling the car. My stomach dropped. I realized something horrifying. The impostor could split, multiply, adapt. It wasn't just a doppelganger. It was a predator, and we were prey. The shadows began to speak simultaneously, using all 3 voices: my sister, Ethan, my own. Mas, mas, mas. I slammed my eyes shut, gripping the wheel. My sister screamed, grabbing my arm. Another twist. In the chaos, I glimpsed movement in the corner of the windshield. My real sister, running toward the car from the other side of the street. I skidded to a stop, rain spraying everywhere. I barked, "Lily, get in!" She leapt inside, drenched, panting. "Mas, I know how to stop it." I swallowed. "How? Tell me." She held up my phone, a single app, the doorbell feed. But instead of viewing, she had tapped the recorded clips. "The impostor," she whispered urgently. "It records fear. It learns through fear. If you stop being afraid, it can't manipulate you. But it's adaptive. It will try to scare you to death." Another twist. The shadows began pounding against the windshield, leaving handprints that weren't human. I screamed as the glass began to crack. My sister whispered urgently, "Mas, you have to confront it. Look at it. Don't run. Don't be afraid. Otherwise, it wins." I swallowed hard, hands trembling on the wheel. I took a deep breath, forcing my fear down. The shadows parted in the street ahead. The impostor, towering, multi-faced, twisting, stood directly in our path. Rain poured over it, but it didn't get wet. Its eyes, Ethan's, Lily's, mine, glowed. Another twist. It spoke, not in words, but in our minds simultaneously. A voice that was all of us, but not. "You cannot defeat me." I forced my hands off the wheel. My sister grabbed them. "Mas, look at it, not through it, not with fear, with control. You lead it, or it leads you." I took a deep breath, staring directly into its red eyes. Another twist. The shadows around it recoiled slightly. It paused, unbalanced for the first time. I felt power, or at least the absence of fear. "Leave us alone," I whispered, not shouting, calm, controlled. The impostor blinked. The multi-faced mask of Ethan, Lily, and me wavered. It hissed, shrank slightly, but then another twist. It split again,
4 shadows now, converging from all directions. I stayed calm, ignoring the pounding on the car, ignoring the distorted voices whispering my failures. My sister whispered, "Moss, you must control it." I extended my hand, palm open, toward the shadows, a shaky, trembling gesture. The impostor paused. All forms froze, then, slowly, they retracted. The multi-faced horror shimmered, flickering like a bad signal. I realized the final twist. It could only exist in fear. Control the fear, and it loses power. I swallowed. My chest burned. My sister nodded. The shadows retreated back toward the house, flickering, then disappearing completely into the night. Silence. Only rain and my ragged breathing. I looked at my sister. She smiled faintly. "It's gone. For now." I didn't respond. I knew the impostor wasn't truly gone. It had learned. It would return, and next time, it would be stronger. We survived the night, but the impostor had learned our weaknesses. It wasn't finished, and I knew the next encounter would test not just our courage, but our very sanity.
The street was empty. Rain-slicked pavement reflected the dim glow of streetlights. My sister and I were soaked, hearts hammering, but alive. For now. The impostor had retreated. Or so we thought. I leaned against the car, shaking, trying to catch my breath. "It's gone?" I asked, voice trembling. My sister shook her head. "No, it's never gone. It's always learning, always waiting. We only survived this time because you faced it, because you controlled your fear." Another twist. I realized something horrifying. Surviving wasn't enough. The impostor had already learned our weaknesses. Every move, every reaction, every instinct, it had stored them, ready for the next encounter. A soft sound came from the car. A tap, tap, tap on the hood. I froze. Nothing. I exhaled, thinking it was just my nerves. Then, the phone buzzed. Doorbell notification. My hand shook as I opened it. The feed showed our house. Empty. Silent. Peaceful. Until a shadow flickered across the living room. And then, the ultimate twist, a face appeared in the window. My sister. My real sister. Smiling at the camera. But her eyes? Red. Glowing. Not human. I screamed, throwing the phone to the ground. My sister grabbed me. "Mass, stay calm. That's not her. That's it. Don't let it manipulate you." Another twist. The shadows began moving again, subtle, almost invisible, watching us from the street, the trees, the windows of the house. Every reflection in puddles and glass carried its presence. My stomach dropped. I realized the truth. There was no escaping it. Not tonight, not ever. Then, the final twist hit me like a punch, a movement in the rearview mirror. I turned slowly. Ethan, or at least something that looked exactly like him, standing in the rain, smiling, waiting. But something was off. He, or it, didn't move like a human. Too stiff, too perfect. Its eyes hollow, red. I swallowed hard. My chest tightened. "It's still here," I whispered. My sister grabbed my hand. "It is, but you know the truth now. It feeds on fear. Control your fear, lead it. Don't let it lead you." I nodded, heart hammering, hands trembling. Another twist. From the house, the shadows began to converge. The impostor was forming, this time not just one copy, but a towering, monstrous figure. Its face shifted. Ethan's eyes, my sister's smile, my own expression. It hissed in all our voices at once. "Mass, you cannot escape me."
I stepped forward, voice shaking but firm. I'm not afraid of you. You have no power over me anymore. A soft sound cue, the bass pulse of the shadows, vibrated through the street. The figure recoiled. I focused on my sister, on Ethan's real presence in my memory, on my own courage. Another twist, the figure began to fragment, splitting into dozens of smaller shadows, writhing and shrinking, unable to maintain form. It hissed and screeched and shrank and then vanished. Silence. Absolute silence. I dropped to my knees, exhausted. Rain soaking my hair, my sister held me. "Is it gone for good?" I whispered. She shook her head slowly. "No, it's still out there, watching, learning, waiting. But for now, we survived. You faced it, and that gives us a chance, a real chance." Another twist. The final one. My phone buzzed one last time. Doorbell notification. I didn't open it. My sister didn't either. We sat in silence, drenched and trembling, knowing the imposter could return at any time, knowing it had seen everything, learned everything. And the ultimate realization hit me. Survival wasn't about escaping. Survival was about courage, about facing the fear inside you and refusing to let it control you. I looked at my sister, then at the empty street. For the first time, I felt a flicker of hope. Until a soft whisper echoed from the shadows nearby. "Mass, see you soon." We didn't move. We didn't speak. We just waited and prepared. The imposter was gone, but not defeated. It had learned, it had watched, and one day it would return. Survival wasn't guaranteed, but courage was our weapon, and we now knew how to fight back.